So the purpose of this video is to take a look at what light is, specifically photons, and the fact that light does not actually travel, and that photons are not a real thing in one sense. We're going to get into all that. We have to first take a look at our current understanding of what a photon is. Then we're going to dive into the ether, and this is probably the part where most of you stop watching the video. But the ether is something that Nikola Tesla believed in. A lot of other geniuses have believed in it. Walter Russell, Oliver Heaviside, Ken Wheeler. And Nikola Tesla says that sound waves to air is like light to the ether. Well, what does that mean? Well, that's what we're going to get into and take a look at this understanding, this particle wave duality, and I think this will make things a little more clear. So what is the current understanding of a photon? A photon is the smallest piece of light. Light beams are a collection of many electromagnetic waves. Light waves can be anywhere on the electromagnetic spectrum. A photon is a packet of energy. The amount of energy a photon has is very small. You can calculate it. Here, E equals energy, H is Planck's constant, and F is frequency. The frequency tells you what type of light it is, and in the visible range it defines a color. And as a side note, one cannot see an individual photon. So a 40-watt incandescent light bulb means it transforms 40 joules of electrical energy into heat and light every second. But only about 10% of that becomes light. So when the light is turned on, 4 joules of light leave the bulb every second. The light leaves in all directions and spread out, and these tiny little pieces of energy are called photons. Einstein expanded what Planck said about energy and said light must also be made of quanta, meaning quantified or measured, which he called photons, but he was not the one who coined the word photons. So a photon is a particle of light, so it's a wave-particle duality. It's a wave and a particle at the same time. The idea changed physics and how we view the, in air quotes, universe. All that was the current textbook modern day understanding of a photon. And now I'm going to get into what I believe is happening with luminosity, photons, what a photon is. So everything that I just mentioned there was the current world understanding. Now I'm going to get into what I believe it is. So to understand that light does not travel and what a photon is, I have to talk about the ether, and the best way to describe it is electrical pressure, voltage. That's the way I think of the ether. So the ground would be negatively charged. As you jump up, you become positively charged, and the pressure in the ether, the electrical pressure, brings you back to the earth. That has nothing to do with curvature of space-time, which is ridiculous. So the ether is the medium which we all live in. It's a pressurized, it's an electrical pressurized system, basically. I'll do some more videos on ether, but think of it like we live in an air pressure system. Okay, everybody can look at that and go, yep, I understand. We live in a pressurized air system. It's the same way with the ether. It's an electrical system that's pressurized, okay, or voltage or whatever you want to call it. So that's what the ether is. We say, when I speak and you hear my voice, and you hear it through your speaker, which vibrates, which disturbs the air pressure, there's really not a voice to hear. There's not an actual voice that travels. It's the disturbance of air pressure, and your ear picks up on those vibrations and translates those vibrations into the voice. So you hear my voice inside your head as I speak, as you play this video, but it's really just the disturbance of the air pressure. If you take away the air pressure, let's just say hypothetically that I would sit here and talk in a vacuum, there would be nothing to hear. Um, I need that air pressure, and I need to be able to disturb that air pressure so that you can interpret my voice. But it's not the air that travels. Um, it's just a disturbance of the air pressure. So as the sound comes out of your speaker, it's not moving air to your ear, it's just disturbing that air pressure. And those vibrations hit your ear, and your ear interpret that as my voice. So in the same manner, this electrical pressurized system that we live in, when a light bulb is turned on, for example, those electric energies disturb the electric pressure, and it generates a wave, which is like an up-down motion. And here I've drawn a 0 point and just a positive and negative. And forgive the crudeness of this drawing. I just tried to quickly do it. I know this isn't quite right, but you get the idea. Here's red, here's blue. It's got more compressed waves. And so these waves are just an up and down motion because you've disturbed this electrical pressure, or the light bulb did, rather, sorry. And these waves reflect each other, given the illusion of travel, but it's like something floating on the ocean or something, and waves come along. It will stay in that one spot as the waves go up and down across the item. I hope that makes sense. Waves have spatial footprints, and these spatial footprints, or electromagnetic retardation, creates these waves, and the length of the waves create the different colors. I'm talking about in the visible light spectrum now. So, but these waves are not really a thing. It's just what something does, that electrical pressure. You've disturbed it, the light bulb disturbed that electrical pressure, and this disturbance creates this compression. And so at these compression points here where I've drawn, this is what people are calling a photon. But a photon is not a real thing. It has modal properties, just like a shadow does, but it has no, just like a shadow has no real physical properties. And so a photon has no real physical properties either. And I'm going to borrow Ken Wheeler's example with the shadow. I was trying to think how to put that in words, and I heard him say that. And I remember that from long ago. So thank you to Ken Wheeler, Ken the Wheelie Man Wheeler, for using the shadow example. So light is not instantaneous. Anything that has a spatial footprint cannot be instantaneous. Okay, so this gives the illusion of light is traveling, but it's the disturbance in the ether. And it's not really traveling, it's just creating this up and down, like pistons in a motor, you could think of it. And the ether wants to balance out and find its 0 point, and it will. So that's why you can't see, infinitely far or whatever. So light appears to travel at 186,000 miles per second, but that's just because of this spatial footprint here in these waves, this disturbance in the medium, this electric pressurized field that we live in. Eyes work by picking up these vibrations, these electromagnetic waves. Your eyes pick up these disturbances in the ether, this electrical pressure, and your eyes sense these vibrations and send the signal to your brain, which you interpret as illumination. The reason why they had to do away with the ether is because you can't have the Big Bang and the ether coexist. And the direction science was going was they really wanted this godless Big Bang, and that was the direction they were going, and they destroyed anything that got in their way. People believed in the ether um, until relativity came along. Nikola Tesla strongly believed in the ether. He thought Einstein was a crackpot for coming up with such nonsense. And I've heard lots of people, you know, don't understand the mysteries of Nikola Tesla. Well, it's because if you just study like things from your Rockefeller public school system, like I went through, like everybody else, most everybody else, you just fall farther down this same rabbit hole. And Nikola Tesla understood the ether and how to use it, and so that's why they had to, change our understanding. And I realize I'll get a lot of hatred about this, and I'll, get called names and all that stuff. That's fine. But if you think you already know the answer to things, then don't question them. So, question what you're taught. That's the purpose of this video. Is I hope people learn things, and well, what is a photon? Oh, I know what a photon is. Yeah. Well, if you think you already know that, and you're not going to investigate it any further, then you're never going to find out any true answers. But if you want to just put blind faith in what you're told and just go with that and never question any further, then um, your learning will stop. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it enlightening, pun intended. And yeah, keep investigating things. Investigate everything out for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. And have a great day.